There was a report this week about D'Angelo Russell on, if you saw it, Slee, about they're actually less confident to trade him now. Like they kind of him accepting his new role, coming off the bench and kind of having virtually the same stats, still averaging about 12 points a game when he's starting versus coming off the bench. Apparently, they're looking more for Gabe Vincent to move. I don't know how much value Gabe Vincent has in trade right now, considering he's averaging 3 points per game over 18 minutes. But it's cool to see D'Lo kind of, accepting his role and realizing like, hey, I can be an elite scorer off the bench. I think he's going to have to match Clarkson tonight.
Okay, two things here. I'll do the last part that you said, the report about Lakers probably won't trade D'Angelo Russell because of his role. I don't believe that at all. I genuinely don't believe that. I think that is a very, well, maybe if we tell the public, maybe if we tell them we're not that interested, maybe they'll be more interested. Lakers have been trying to trade D'Angelo Russell since he got traded to the Lakers a year and a half ago, whatever the case is. So I don't believe that at all. I genuinely don't. I think the other piece that's interesting, Utah, you're right. You look at the Jazz, you look at them less about the type of team that they are in the NBA. You pay less attention to their 3-10, any of that stuff. The only way I look at the Utah Jazz on a night in, night out basis, teams like the Blazers, teams like the Jazz, teams like Toronto, teams like Washington, who's selling? Who's going to be selling? And Utah seems like one of those teams that have, listen, Lauri Markkanen's been part of the conversation. Now, I don't think he can get traded this year because he signed that contract. So I think you got to wait till next offseason. Walker Kessler, we've heard his name come up. These types of teams are trying to stack up with their draft picks. I was talking to a buddy of mine last night. And we're talking a little Lakers. And I was mentioning to him, I said to him that if the pressure continues, the Lakers continue to kind of build this, hey, we're in the thick here. We're right in the mix here. We're top 5 in the West, top 4 in the West. There's going to be more and more pressure on the front office and specifically Rob Pelinka to go make a move. And a team like the Utah Jazz is a good example where if something were to happen, I don't know if sometimes within the West that doesn't happen. Okay, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. But that's the only way I look at the Jazz now. I don't even look at the Jazz as an opponent that's coming up tonight. I look at them as what are they going to give up by the time the trade deadline comes?
Yeah, they're definitely, every team's going to be calling them. In the Western Conference thing, I'd see it if the Jazz and Lakers were rivals. I don't. The Kings aren't trading the Lakers. The Clippers aren't trading the Lakers. I doubt the Warriors trading the Lakers. If those teams were kind of in that spot of not.
Maybe it doesn't matter for Blazers and Utah and some of these other teams.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Utah and you can get a good pick, I think you're just about, hey, let's try to build the team. And they do have a lot of young talent, but clearly sitting on Walker Kessler when you could probably get more for what Walker Kessler is honestly worth at the deadline with teams trying to load up. They're definitely going to be a big player, and I think everyone's going to be calling.
Okay, let's keep moving here. I want to go back to D'Lo for a quick second. What have you thought of his role? What have you thought of his? Because I think for me, I still don't know what D'Lo is going to give any given night, but I like the concept and the idea of we'll take our chances with you coming off the bench. Not just because they're demoting him, but also they just don't have any help off the bench, right? I think you've had a couple of games where, hey, Max Christie, all of a sudden it's like, okay, hey, this is great. Can you depend on Max Christie? I got a segment here in a little bit of when Vando is going to come back. I got no idea. Can you depend on a Cam Reddish? Can you depend on some of these guys? What do you make of D'Lo going to the bench?
Quickly on the Vanderbilt thing, it's a little bit alarming that JJ Redick won't give a timeline and he's not giving updates, but hopefully that's just he's kind of being cagey with the media. But I'm excited. D'Lo, bench players, a lot of bench players, why they aren't starters is because their specialties is a certain thing. They're either a really good rebounder, they're a very good on-ball defender, they're a really good three-point specialist, but they have a big hole in their game. And D'Lo's hole is defense. He doesn't play it. I compared to my video. I'm sure I'll get some crap for it. He's like a poor man's Luka Doncic. And Luka Doncic can afford to not play defense because he scores 35 every night. So if he doesn't want to play defense, like, all right, well, someone else got to play defense for him. D'Lo's not consistent enough to be playing like that and not playing defense. D'Lo can score with anyone. That's why I think off the bench, he's not having to guard elite other opposing point guards and shooting guards. He's just worrying about scoring. He doesn't have to share with LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Austin Reeves. He's not fighting for touches. It's always seemed like it's been in that starting lineup, it's been obviously LeBron, AD, and then it's Reeves some nights, and then it's D'Lo, and then every once in a while Rui will kind of be the third option. So I love it that he doesn't have to fight with anything. Clearly, as of right now, Gabe Vincent is not stepping up. Max Christie, I thought was coming out of his shell a little bit on Friday against the Spurs. Then only had 2 points on Saturday, so I hope he keeps kind of getting better. But if Connect is scoring like that and D'Lo is scoring like that off the bench, that's a too lethal punch that provides off the bench.
Yeah, I think I'll use Christie as an example. That dude's just got to start building some confidence. So I'm okay with him. Just have something, just because he's got nothing so far this year. I did a portion yesterday of the show on JJ Redick and just kind of talking about what I thought so far. How do you feel about JJ so far? Has he, whatever your expectations were coming into the season, which really tough to have expectations when the guy has literally never coached a game in his life at any level, no college, no NBA. But tell me some of the things that you've liked so far. If you got some concerns, what would be some of your concerns?
I actually don't have too many concerns so far. I've loved what he done. Obviously, the 9-4 record. I think any Laker fan would have taken that. If you'd have said 13 games in, they'd have it. He calls timeouts when he's supposed to. Darvin Ham refused to do that and would take him home.
I don't know if you ever look at some of the comments or the feed or post game. Everyone just wants to talk about Darvin Ham. I'm like, he's not the coach anymore. Guys, we don't have to keep going to Darvin Ham.
I understand the anger because it's most of the same group, and you see what the Lakers could have been the last 2 years, and it's like, how many leads did the Lakers have last year where they were up 20 and he just let them go? JJ Redick is calling timeouts, losing his mind, breaking clipboards. I mean, like, people are interested in the huddle. I love that he's pretty honest with the media. When D'Lo was struggling, he's like, I didn't see effort after that Memphis game where it was a really rough outing. Rui didn't play. Anthony Davis didn't play. He was honest with the media and said, he's not playing. He was honest with the media about Max Christie. He was talking about, he needs some time to kind of reset. And he doesn't really BS anyone, and I love it. I love that it's pretty transparent. And
I'm with you on that.
I just like that as a head coach. I feel like, not to go back to Darvin Ham, but it was very like, I love that JJ Redick feels like us fans, where when they lose a game, he's pissed off. And it's like a thing where I would lose my mind when Darvin Ham would go to the presser and it'd be like, I mean, he literally said, he's like, I don't understand. We lost 4 games in a row. Everyone can calm down. I mean, like, he said that, like, I can't to the media.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing I'll say. And I think Darvin Ham, the more he was the coach of the Lakers, he was certainly getting exposed of his strengths and his weaknesses. And I think JJ, to me, has a much more, I don't know if common sense is the right way to put it, but he's got a common sense approach of, I'm trying to win today's game. I don't give a rat's ass what's going on tomorrow. I don't care if I hurt your feelings in the process. And maybe behind the scenes, he has conversations with these guys to round the edges and smooth it out a little bit. But Darvin would do things where it felt like, if I know you shouldn't do that and I'm not a head coach, that's not a good sign. Totally. So I think there is a little bit of a start to, JJ's career as the head coach where you should be encouraged, you should feel good about. And maybe there's just so much scar tissue from the Darvin Ham side of things why people keep bringing him up. But I swear, Darvin Ham gets mentioned more than Gabe Vincent on my shows.
I understand. I get it. I'm also impressed. I think another thing is how he's commanded the team. Obviously, I'm not in, huddles, not in timeouts, not in practice, but I mean, he played with Jackson Hayes. He played with some of these guys. So it's not like, that's what I was most worried about when he got hired. Not that he didn't know basketball, couldn't coach. It was, are these guys going to respect him? And is he going to be able to lay down the law? And when he put D'Lo on the bench, I was like, oh no, here we go. In the sense of not that I didn't like the decision, but now D'Lo's going to be like, I'm out, trade me. I'm not really giving effort most nights, and you're starting to see division within the club. And it hasn't happened. I mean, D'Lo's bought it. Whatever he's saying to these guys, they rave about him. Reeves, Rui, all of them. So it's cool that he's commanding that respect, and he's not some old head coach that like a Mike Budenholzer for Phoenix. He's clearly respected by them, maybe more than I like Frank Vogel, but maybe a little bit more than Frank Vogel was clearly what they needed.
Well, I think the reason why D'Lo also didn't say anything is because he's got no leverage. He really does. It's the final year of his contract. It's not like D'Lo's locked into a 3-year deal. It's JJ Redick's first year coaching the Los Angeles Lakers. I've said this a couple times. He's got the autonomy to do whatever the hell he wants because he's going to be here longer than 90% of the players that are on this roster. He is. You know, if at minimum, he's here for 2 years, which I swear if the Lakers go through another coach after just 2 years, it's just such a problem from the front office perspective. But let's say he's here for 3 years. Gabe Vincent's contract's done. Rui's contract's done. LeBron's contract is done. D'Lo's contract. Go down the list. There's only so many players. He could kind of do whatever the hell he wants.